How rainy, snowy, cold, dry, hot does it really get in Boise, Idaho? What I want to do is take you through our year month by month and discover the activities you can do, the clothes you'll need, the vehicles you'll need, the conditions that the weather is, the temperature, everything about Boise, so that you get a real outlook at what Boise's weather is really like. If you're moving to Boise, email me, brian@brianhymas.com, and so I can help you discover Boise's neighborhoods and get you living here. Also, I hope I don't forget, we have 4 seasons, we love it, you will too, so stick around and we're gonna discover Boise's weather, all 12 seasons, month by month. First, we're gonna dive into March. The average high temperature, and on my estimation, is gonna be somewhere in between the 45 to 65 degree for the high, making it average about 55 degrees. And then at nights, you're gonna be constantly seeing that temperature being around the freezing mark. The weather is kind of windy, kind of rainy. Depending on where you look, I've seen it say it's really rainy, like 1.5 inches, and I've seen some places say it's more like 3/4 of an inch of rain in March. That can vary. The temperature's starting to get a little bit warmer. In March, you might see somebody go through a coat, pants, long sleeve tee, short sleeve tee, shorts all on the same day. They're not exactly bundled up. March can be a little bit of a crazy month. You'll see people who wear a coat in the morning, scrape off their windshield in the morning, drive with the heater on to work, and then when they're coming home from work, they might be in the t-shirt, they might be swapping the jeans out for shorts when they get home, AC is gonna be blasting. This is when you'll see Jeeps and convertibles taking off their tops and cruising by you on the road. Now when it comes to sunrise and sunset in Boise in general, since we're so far north, it can be very short daytimes in the winter and long daytimes in the summer. However, March 21st is spring, and so when the Earth is spinning flat, the day is about 12 hours long, and that is about where it hangs, give or take 15-20 minutes in March. Oh, and if you ski season is starting to wrap up in March. You'll also see neighborhood parks starting to get some activity as people think 55, 60 degrees is warm, and it's actually a very nice time to take advantage of those parks because the sun's not blazing hot on you. Spring break for your kiddos is the last full week in March, usually. And for those people who head to Cancun or San Diego, Phoenix, those who stay here locally are a little jealous because we are pretty anxious for that summer sun. I'm gonna lump April and May together in one. They are different, however, it's kind of the same season. You get a lot of sunny skies and the next day you get rain for a couple days. I always remember April being the first full week of lawn mowing growing up, as that was my teenage job, was mowing people's lawns. And so you can kind of see that's when things are starting to bloom, the grass is growing, kids are out in the streets playing, neighborhood parks are really full at this time on sunny days. You can count on April and May being a little bit wet, however, there's no tropical storms, monsoons, there's none of that. We're talking just rain, slow drizzle throughout the day. We don't really have too many storms. People are going to do day hikes. You're starting to see the end of May, neighborhood pools are being opened up, personal pools are being opened up, and it's starting to feel like summer, although we still have the 40-degree nights to remind us that we're not quite there yet. Now in April and May, when I'm not in my work attire, you'll usually see me in shorts and a long sleeve tee type of weather for April and May. Now the beginning of April, we're almost about 13 hours of daylight, 7 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Now, by the end of May, that gets really close to 6 o'clock sunrise and closer to the 8 o'clock sunset. So it's about a 14-hour day towards the end of May. If you have a toddler and he or she's a sensitive sleeper, you might want to pick up some drapes that don't let any light in. June is when it starts to feel a little bit more like summer. People are out in their shorts and t-shirts. We get reminded that we're not in full summer yet when a thunderstorm or two hit us hard in June. It seems to never fail. We get 1 or 2 of those. The temperatures are creeping sometimes into the 90s. Even in the nights, we'll get some high temperature nights like 50s, maybe if we're lucky the 60s. But for the most part, we're a very, very nice temperature, low in the 50s, high in the 80s type of temperatures. Precipitation in June is way higher than July and August. When you drive through the hills, when you go from city to city, or you're traveling up Highway 55 to go take your recreation for the weekend, the hills are green and beautiful. It is the time to visit Boise. I would think June is one of our top months. One way to gauge what type of activities are going on in June is the Roaring Springs passes that the elementaries give out. If your kid reads so much time, it's like the old Pizza Hut bucket clubs growing up. Why I reference this is Roaring Springs allows you to come in June. Why? Because June's not as busy. Is it busy? Yeah, it's busy, but not as busy. Their park doesn't fill up naturally as much because of the temperatures, while at the same time it's still warm. When they don't want to give away those free passes is July and August, so stay tuned for that. Many people are starting to hit the lakes. Not everyone, but many people are. The temperature of the water is a little cooler and the temperature in the day is plenty fine. And of course, the neighborhood pools are very full. It's not stopping the kids from getting in. June is overall a warm month, but not blazing hot. People are wearing their flip-flops, their shorts and t-shirts. It is full summer, just with an occasional reminder that you better put your raincoat on. And when I say occasional reminder, remember, I'm only talking about 1 or 2 or 3 thunderstorms. The rest of the days are pretty much perfect. July and August are our hot months. Now for us, it's hot and dry. We'll get 2 weeks, 1 week of 100 or more as the high temperature. But for the most part, we're in the 90s and the nights are in the 60s. You're gonna find exceptions to that, but for the most part, without getting my degree in weather for this video, that is what 35 years of living here will tell me. There is not a whole lot of precipitation, not a lot of rain, not a lot of storms. It is our summer. You wanna go to weather.com and check everything. It'll probably tell you something along the same lines with more accurate, pinpointed data. Boise can heat up in the summer. There's not a lot of wind, there's not a lot of rain, there's not a lot of storm. It is a good time to go hit the Boise River. It is a good time to hit the lake, jump in and refresh yourself. It's a good time to go to the neighborhood pool. It's a good time to go to Roaring Springs. It is a good time to be outside doing all the activities that Idahoans love. Camping in the mountains is amazing because of the cool nights. There is so much to do in our summers. You can also, I've mentioned this in many videos, go rafting. The cold mountain lakes come down through the rivers. That river does not stand a chance against the hot day. It feels really good. To give you a length of day in the summertime, the sun rises around the 5:30, 5:45 mark to my recollection. And then in the nighttime, we are starting our fireworks around 10:15 at night. So that's interesting because that is a lot of sun, especially for somebody who comes from the south up to Boise. I personally really like how much sun there is, but I know if you're trying to put your kids down and it's 9 o'clock at night and it's still light outside, that might not go well with little Junior. As for clothing, the flip-flops, the t-shirts, the cutoffs, the shorts, the swim shorts, the bathing suits, they're out in full force in July and August. As to what would be the vehicle of choice in the summertime, anything with good AC. Now, I'm gonna lump September and October together as one as more of the fall season because, for example, in 2019, October was so cold. I mean, it was beyond cold, and then we had like this warm November. It was really odd. But this year, we trick-or-treated in a long sleeve tee and jeans. Like it can be a little bit different. And so I'm just gonna say that long sleeve tee and jeans period is kind of what I'm referring to when I say September and October, and know that there's exceptions to those rules. But once the nights start dipping, the day is sure to follow and the temperatures drop. And in September and October, the nice fall time, we're talking in the 70s and 80s is the high, and it's super nice outside. And then the nights, they start to dip and they get into the 40s, and sometimes you'll see them even crack a freezing. But for the most part, it's just a nice little chilly, and you're actually kind of welcoming it. It's the joy of the 4 seasons is really felt there. Some people hate winter, and so this is kind of an introduction to that. So some people don't like the fall because they know it follows. But for me, I actually love the fall. The fall is definitely my favorite. It's just a perfect temperature, and I actually love putting on a hoodie when weather permits. As for rain, there's not a ton in September and October. Relatively dry, just mostly the temperatures are dropping. You will see more rain in October than September, but more than anything, the temperatures are changing. The leaves are changing. About the 1st of October, those leaves change to that beautiful red. You'll see the yellows, you'll see the greens fall off. It's just amazingly beautiful. And when the weather starts changing, you know as well as I know, differences in temperature cause wind. There's not windstorms per se, but there is some wind that's going on, wind that's blowing leaves off the trees and that type of thing. Now the length of day is gonna be somewhere around that 12-hour range. September 21st is the first day of fall typically, and so the earth is spinning flat, and that's when that 12-hour day is. And so October changes to about 11 and a half hours, 11 and a quarter for how much sunlight we have in October. I already said that I love the hoodie. For me, I love putting on the hoodie or a long sleeve tee, the jeans, maybe going to the pumpkin patch or the corn maze and just feeling that fall air. Maybe it's a hot cocoa or something like that to warm the body, but for the most part, it's a nice, beautiful time to take advantage of good weather. And you will see those convertibles come out once again in that September range, more so September than October, but again, in that perfect fall range, which is, I'm gonna say, includes the last couple weeks of September, first couple weeks of October. Typically, those convertibles are in style. November, I'm going to give you what is generally November. November can be colder, warmer, it really depends on the year. One memory I always have in November is Black Friday shopping. Unlike most males, I do enjoy Black Friday shopping. This year took a little bit of a hit on that. With Black Friday shopping, you can expect to go out in a coat and your jeans and possibly your beanie. I remember one time just being frigid cold like 5 years ago. And 2 out of the last 3 years, I can remember going out Black Friday shopping and putting on a jacket and pants and being just fine. So really the temperatures can kind of be a little bit different. I've seen snow hit many times in November. The earliest snow, I have a really, really strange memory. I remember a snow when I was about 4th, 5th grade being October 21st, but for the most part, November is when the snow really starts to come. And when we say starts to come, we're talking about an inch of snow at the tops, and we're not talking about it sticking around forever. We're talking about don't go anywhere for the first few hours maybe, or just drive cautiously for the first few hours because the snow is gonna be melted by the time 2 or 3 o'clock comes around. The temperatures in the afternoon really don't stay below 32 degrees. November isn't a month of storms. It's not a month of a bunch of wind. It's really just a month when the temperature is steadily dropping. For example, this last Thanksgiving, we were playing, baseball and football in the park across the street. Perfect temperatures because as you were running around outside, it seemed that the weather kept you cool. This is a month where you can start to take your snowmobiles out into the mountains. It's also a month where your ski pass gets to see its use at the end of the month, that is. December really is when that kicks in. If you go to a, say, Boise State football game in the month of November, you're going to want to take a blanket to sit on, your coat and your beanie, as it's going to be most likely at night and the weather's going to be a little bit chilly. I've done a handful of November games, and yes, you do want to get bundled up. As far as a good vehicle, you don't need to have a 4-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive to make it safe in November. You're going to be just fine in whatever car you have. There are a couple rules about driving in the snow that will save you a lot of headache, and that is slow down before you need to turn and accelerate slowly. Let's talk about the dead of winter, which is December and January. Right now is mid-December, a week out from Christmas, and it's a high of 45 degrees. I actually, in the middle of making this video, went outside with my son to play football in the backyard, and he was in sweats and a t-shirt. I was in my work clothes just like this with a jacket on, and I was plenty warm. Now, granted, the temperatures in December and January can be and frequently are under that freezing mark, but don't be surprised if you see the average temperature of 34 degrees in December. It doesn't mean that's always where it's at, but it is cold enough to snow. It's usually warm enough for it to melt by the afternoon, and if it is cold enough to stick around, it's usually gone in a couple weeks. Very rarely are we going to see snow that sticks around for a month at a time. Now in 2013, I vividly remember that the whole month of January, it seemed like the high was about 20 degrees and the low was like -5 for like a straight month. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was literally 2 or 3 weeks of that. And so the snow that we had received stuck around. And then we cannot forget the snow apocalypse, which happened less than a year later. That was not only cold enough for the snow to stick, but it was kept on coming, and which is so rare for Boise. It just kept snowing and snowing, and we kept shoveling and shoveling. And at one time we didn't know if we were going to receive trucks in, but I have lived here for 33 out of 35 years of my life, and that is the only time I have ever seen that in Boise. So it is rare, but do know that it can snow, it will snow, but usually the snow is only here for 6, 7, 8 hours. It's fun the first couple times, and after that you just kind of see it as, man, I can't wait for that stuff to melt so I can go drive around and be normal. December and January is also a great month to hit the mountains for snowmobiling, sledding. There are those who want to hit natural hot springs in the mountains. There are natural hot springs that are still in the mountains where you have to hike to them. There's also hot springs that you have to pay for. There's Givens and there's the springs up in Idaho City. December and January are typically shorter days, usually a sunrise around 8, sunset around 5, so you can see it's really minimal light, adds to the coldness of the day, but it's kind of fun, if you ask me, to put on a hoodie and a blanket, throw on a TV show, maybe it's your wife throwing on a Hallmark movie, and cozying up with hot cocoa and enjoying the short days. Now, in December and January, you typically want to leave the house with your wool socks, your jeans or your slacks, your shirt, long sleeve shirt, it really doesn't matter. Put the coat on, the gloves on, the beanie on, and you're going to find yourself just fine in the winter. It really doesn't get to you. In fact, if you go shovel the driveway, if there's snow that day, you'll soon discover that a little hard work outside and you're gonna be plenty warm. But if you do dress for the occasion, the winter won't really get to you, especially because it's dry up here, it's not humid, and so you don't need to put layers and layers on. You just need to get warmth and keep the body heat in, and you'll be fine. As for vehicles, one of the reasons I keep bringing this up is because of the winter months. You don't necessarily need to have a four-wheel drive vehicle. You really just need to know how to drive in the snow. Now, if you're heading up to Bogus, or if you're gonna be heading up Highway 55, does it help? Sure, by all means, go get yourself an SUV, a four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive vehicle to feel safer and perform better, while at the same time, you can most times drive up to Bogus Basin because Bogus is at such a level where the snow is really the last couple miles of that drive. And so you'll be fine. If you're heading to Idaho City, it's plowed. There's a lot of plow trucks that are going out there and making it easy to drive. You really don't have to be too worried about it. I've seen a lot of people overcompensate, in my opinion, for this, when a lot of preparation in knowing how to drive can actually compensate for the weather. February is gonna be a month where you're gonna find it just a little bit warmer than January, but yet still no March. The nights are cold, the days are cold, but you're not having to bundle up as much, less precipitation as well. Our family will take off usually in this month for about a week, go somewhere warm, whether that's Phoenix like we are this year, or if it's gonna be Hawaii, wherever it might be. It's something we try to do because it's kind of been a while since we've seen the sun and we're not quite there yet. We've got a couple more months to do so. There's not a lot of wind, there's not a lot of rain. There are some winters where we'll have a dry winter and then all of a sudden February is the cold and snowy month. Now that's not normal, but that can happen. I've seen that personally happen here. Ski season is in full force, snowmobiling season is in full force. It's still a winter month, but it's just that the temperatures are climbing up a little bit more and the mountains are still getting a ton of snow. You're gonna see the sunrise in the 7:30 range, sunset in the 7 o'clock range at the latest. You're gonna not quite hit that 12-hour day yet, and we're starting to see a little bit more sun, which is always nice. At the end of the 3 months, I'm usually ready for spring. I have actually mowed my lawn a first cutting in February because the sun does have a couple times where it's starting to peak out. I've also seen warm days in the 60s in February. I've also seen cold winter snows in February. It can really depend, but for the most part, you can count on February being just a little bit of an extension of January, just a little bit better. I would say in February, you might see 1 day, 2 days, if you're lucky, of a couple convertibles going around town, and the windows might come down on your car because at last, it's finally time to see the sun again. Overall, speaking of the sun, we have 206 sunny days here in Boise. That's about 150 days of clouds, overcast. We have, usually that's in the winter months, and then you'll also get that with your spring showers. You also get that with your fall weather changing, but most of the time is about 60%, 70% off the top of my head math that where you're gonna get sunny days here in Boise, Idaho. And I will say, speaking of sunny days, it can be 32 with no wind and sun, and you will be super surprised at how warm that is. I know you're gonna be coming from another state that might be warmer and you're probably rolling your eyes and laughing at me right now, but 32 degrees, count my words, with sun, you're gonna try it once and you're gonna believe me, is actually not as bad as it sounds. I will actually take that over a 40-degree and cloudy and rainy day, any day of the week. As always, if you've stuck around to the end of this video, I'm going to give you a chance to get the Boise relocation guide mailed to your inbox. If you click the link below, I can send this thing to you digitally. It is awesome, it's packed full of information. It talks about activities, talks about schools, talks about area. I've got more videos like that. You can see those in there on the screen. should be where I'm pointing. And you can see that. Other videos that goes through some of this stuff, or you can just enter your name, email, and I will get this magazine sent to your inbox so that you can enjoy all 100 pages of the Boise Relocation Guide. If you have any questions also about the weather, about moving here, about neighborhoods, about schools, about anything, please email me, brian@brianhymas.com. I would love to help you find your neighborhood, discover Boise, and if it's answering questions or taking you around and finding your dream home, I would be honored and thrilled to take you around town. Text or call 208-891-4200, and we can make living in Boise a reality for you. So I just got done filming. I want to know from you if you think my all-inclusive list here includes everything. Did I miss anything? Was there something you wanted to see on this? If so, comment below. And if we're both lucky enough, it's going to be improved next year, and it'll make next year's YouTube video on Boise's year-round weather.